1 year on, it's a big difference. Last year, it wasn't as busy as this year. So we definitely see the recovery coming out of COVID. But let's also not forget, nearly a year ago, we had a few weeks later, Omicron set in, and it really grinded travel again to a halt. So this year, we're hopefully in better shape. And also the winter season, let's hope no major pandemic, no disruption anymore in travel. And we all will enjoy, hopefully, busy, full airplanes and busy and full hotels. I think the main change with all destinations was the additional rules and the complexity that suddenly came in, where you had to pre-register, the times where you had to have a PCR test before you could travel, or you had to do a PCR rapid test post-travel. Luckily, most countries have removed this friction, and travel between many countries, specifically like Europe and also the Middle East, is now completely friction-free. As we're filming, and now it's getting close to 3 p.m. in London here, in less than 13 days, we'll be all watching the Al Bayt Stadium, where the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 will kick off. So that's one major milestone, less than 2 weeks to go. Obviously, the tournament has huge preparation, not just the stadiums, the whole logistic with the teams, but also all the activations that come along with the tournament to entertain all the fans that will be staying or just visiting Qatar during the tournament. There's many activations, fan zones, fan fests that have been set up. There's lots of other entertainment programs, whether that's music, DJs, concerts in the evening. There's also cultural activations, whether these are like roaming acts or like there's a movement festival. And then there's many art exhibition. If you're into fashion, you can also enjoy the Valentino show. Or tomorrow, for example, we'll open a photo exhibition of architecture in Qatar. Lots going on. It will keep everyone busy. Once we step outside of the region, with obviously the neighboring countries naturally being the big visiting countries, then in Europe, the UK is absolutely our number one market and our number one opportunity. After the UK, in Europe, we're talking about France, Germany, Italy, and then Spain as being our top markets. But the UK is our number one in Europe. It's a little bit difficult coming out of COVID. Travel out of the UK to the Middle East hasn't fully recovered. Right now, we're also looking at a very unique period with the FIFA World Cup. As for the tournament, initially only FIFA ticket holders will be allowed to visit. And in the later stage of the tournament, travel will be free for all. So I hope we will get a lot of visitors from Europe, and I really wish that England will do well, because it will be good for tourism, and I hope many football fans will decide last minute that they will jump on a plane and want to root for their team in Qatar. I don't know about WTM, but I can speak for Qatar. Obviously, sustainability is a big topic on everyone's mind. The whole tournament itself has been built around being the first tournament that is carbon emission neutral. I don't want to say free because that doesn't exist, but neutral. And with the tournament all happening in one place, at least some of the travel will be not needed, because you can stay the entire tournament in one hotel, and you can mostly, with public transportation like the metro, visit also all the stadiums. Only I think 1 or 2 of the stadiums you will have to use a bus. Otherwise, the metro will be the main means of transportation for people to go to and from the football stadiums. So let's talk about the top destinations in Qatar. Let's start within the city. I would always recommend start off with the Souk Waqif, which is the traditional market, because it's a nice entry into the Arabic world, and it's stimulating for all your senses and flavors. It's amazing. You have food, you have spices, you have gold, you have fashion, obviously the local tailors if you're into. You can get a thobe, you can get also an abaya made, and so on. So that's one thing. Second, close to the souk across the street is the Museum of Islamic Art. So that's also a nice piece. If you're not familiar with the Islamic world, it's a great entry into the history. A little bit further, maybe 5-10 minutes walk, is the National Museum of Qatar, which is a brilliant introduction into the history of the GCC. I went there only recently again to refresh my memory and read every single display, and it was so enlightening about the whole history of all the countries in the GCC region. So that's in the city. If you go a little bit further, obviously during the World Cup, the Corniche, which is the center of the city, is all closed and will be a pedestrian zone. On the pedestrian zone, you will find lots of entertainment, food, and other things. If you go a little bit further down to the modern part of town, which is called West Bay, in West Bay you have the new beach areas. There are 3 new beaches that are opening just in time for the FIFA World Cup. So that's really downtown. You can go a bit further, you can go to the Pearl, you can obviously go to Lusail, the new Lusail Boulevard, and everyone after the World Cup will have heard about Lusail. Lusail is the place where the final will play in the Lusail Stadium. Right now, no one knows it. After the World Cup, everyone will know it. But then I would recommend 2-day excursions. You can either go south, which is to the inland sea, which is phenomenal, definitely a trip worth to just see how nature in Qatar looks like. If you want, you can also do some activities there, like dune bashing, there are falcon experiences and many other things. And of course, you can ride some camels. If you want something that you won't expect in the Middle East, I would go a little bit north. There you find the mangroves in Al Takira, and you can go kayaking in the mangroves. Definitely something really green. Doesn't look like deserts, it's all water and green, and something different. Going around the country, there's many other places, but there's one area that for me stands out, and that's the east-west, west-east art installation of Richard Serra in an area called Secret. Around that area, or very close by, you will also find Al Zubara, which is the UNESCO World Heritage Site in Qatar. And brand new, there is a number of other things, like there is Ain Mohammed, which is a small village that has been restored. And then there is many archaeological sites, plus additional public art.